Gonna do it. Hey, hello. Welcome back to Total Spotfest. This is JJ. That there's Jamie. That right over there, that's Mr. Austin Reddick. How y'all doing?
Howdy.
I got my Southern going on here. We were down in Texas tonight for Dynamite. I feel like, pulling out a little Southern on you,
I was going to make a joke about running Winter is Coming in a place that doesn't have winter, but Texas literally froze over like 2 years ago, so I guess it works.
I mean, hey, this is the climate world we live in now. Who knows, right? It's either going to be, negative 300 or plus 5,000. Either way.
Hey, we're in the middle of like a 2-week run of it being in like the mid 50s and sunny here in Wichita, so I'm not sad about it at the moment. I will be in the summer, but not right now.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining. Thank you for giving us some of your time. We do appreciate it. Jamie, how the hell you been, man?
Not too terribly bad. I
dodging
felt
sickness in your house. I know. Left and right.
I am. I went retro today, rocking my 92 SummerSlam shirt because it's a little chilly today. It's just like trying to bring the warm vibes, and definitely did not get that. Definitely did not get that.
Last couple of days, I don't know. It's not been like super cold up here, right? It's been like higher 40s, mid 40s. Like yesterday, especially, like I was outside. It was just like bone chilling cold to me for some reason. I don't know why. It just, It is December. So thank you guys for joining in with us here. We're going to get to Dynamite in just a little bit, but I have some other stuff we want to talk about. Jim, you want to talk a little bit? We have some, I guess it's Fed related. I mean, technically it is, of course.
Yeah, so lots of NXT happenings. They did have a pay-per-view. One Miss Cora Jade is back, which we saw her as Elena Black back in the day. Her transformation is mind-boggling from what she was to where she is now. And then actually there's a little bit of scary news that happened today. Their champion Dragunov got a serious injury and he had to get actually stretchered off. Not a whole lot of details from the tapings that just happened, but that's scary, guys.
There's been a few of those. I saw a clip too. I don't know if it was from SmackDown or if it was from like a house show over the weekend or whatever, but Charlotte Flair was fighting somebody. And they went to do like a half and half off from the top rope down and dropped her square on her head.
Well, she hurt her knee.
Yeah, in that same match, Charlotte, it looked like she probably tore her ACL. I haven't seen an update on it, but generally when it's non-contact and your leg just crumbles,
that's ACL.
It's an ACL. I had a buddy of mine, Mr. Cody Devine, earlier this year in March, was literally just taking a wrist lock and just stepping through it, and his knee just buckled and he collapsed. And that's how he tore his ACL in a wrestling ring. It's never the dangerous looking stuff. It's always dumb things you get hurt on, and you never see him coming. But hopefully she's all right. But yeah, it looked pretty rough when she blew out her knee on SmackDown.
There's some injury bug flying around Stores, Connecticut, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Florida.
I mean, 'tis the season though. It's the end of the year. Bodies are starting to break down.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I feel like WWE's had a bad run with like leg injuries in their women's division for a couple years now.
Well, I mean, Tegan Nox is case number one for that. Remember she came, the big emotional comeback. Everything is great. Second match, she's running on the outside and just falls down again. Like you said, it just didn't Bailey tear her ACL? She had some kind of leg injury. Yeah, like
an ACL.
She had an ACL.
Yeah.
I mean, Nia Jax had a double ACL surgery,
which did you hear the promo by Becky about Nia?
I did.
Oh my God, you're so dangerous. You know, you've broken so many other people's bones.
Even your own body wants to it's like, wow.
it's rare we say this, but good on the Fed for putting something on TV that got that reaction. Hey, did you hear that? That used to be the best part about pro wrestling is when your buddies be like, did you like there was shit you had to discuss. And like now we just hop on a computer and casually chat about it. But back in the day, you couldn't wait to find your buddy and be like, dude, did you see that match? Did you hear that promo? And I would like them to put more of that out there because I would probably watch more often.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily as controversial as some of it was back when they did do it. You know, there was some borderline racist things they threw out there a few times, you know, that was just like, wow, you know, but hey, that was the late 90s, you know, hey, yeah, but
yeah, a lot of things flew back then that can't and should not fly today.
Should not's the key word there, but
should not, unless you're NWA, because they really don't care.
I do gotta say though, quick aside from pro wrestling, every time I hear someone make the comment, oh, you couldn't make that today, I remind them that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is still on the air and still making new episodes. And they have done everything you're not supposed to be able to do. As long as it's actual comedy and funny, you can make it work.
Yeah, them in South Park.
Yeah.
That's it. Because both of them do not care at all.
Like everybody thought South Park with like the first season, it was like for sure this is going to get Barry. They're gonna murder these people, right? You know.
Yeah.
Like where, like I remember high school, because me and Jamie were back in high school when South Park came out, right? And it was like it was banned. You couldn't wear South Park clothing, and it was 'cause it was just.
I believe I was an 8th grader when that came out because I'm a few years behind y'all. And I remember like vividly my friends just being blown away that a show like that was on TV.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, have you seen South Park? You're not going to believe what the things they said on that show.
Well, and the best part was at the time, the censors and the TV, it was a lot like they've laxed up recently, in the last, decade or so, but you couldn't say like any bad words whatsoever. And they kept pushing that envelope. Finally, they got the okay from the, the FCC and the network to say the word shit. And they were given 3 of them. You could say shit 3 times. So they said it 70 something times in the show.
They had the counter up. I remember the counter.
And it was basically the whole time. It's like, what are you gonna do? 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 And they couldn't do anything. They're like, I guess you beat us.
And anytime I hear, if I ever hear anybody gets pink eye, the first thing I think of is Scott Baio. Like to this day.
God damn you, Scott Baio! There's so many things that like it's interesting how there's so many things, and we've had this with wrestling too. There's a good correlation. I'm gonna bring it back, guys. There's a good correlation there, but there's so many things that that just ingrained from like South Park and whatnot. Like Matt Damon, and
Yeah.
There's things that wrestling that have transcended time. We had a couple of those kind of pop their head up tonight and a little bit of promo work in the middle of the ring. So,
yeah. Well, one of the most important things too, and this is something I wanted to get into with you guys, is from South Park, we had the respect my authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, gentlemen, that a champion has a certain amount of authority, yeah?
Jesus Christ.
And I think that my authority as our champion, our pay-per-view champion,
did you fix the belt yet? Is the other thing on
has been grossly disrespected. From the tiny belt to you guys trying to collude against me. So I have taken it upon myself to bring prestige back to this and put some respect behind my damn name. You know what I'm doing? Getting rid of that. And getting this.
What?
That's right. The new and improved pay-per-view championship belt for a true champion. 4 times defending.
Oh,
it's kind of amazing, guys.
It's legit amazing, man.
It is resplendent.
So it's got everything on there. It's got the Stash of Knowledge, J Buddy Club, obviously our logo, Faulkner World Order, and of course a
Lion Tamer. Because
if you are only listening to the audio podcast, do yourself a favor and get to the beginning of the YouTube video so you can see this majestic piece of art Jamie just whipped out.
This is a high quality thing.
I was really worried we weren't gonna get it before Christmas, and next thing you know, it showed up today. I'm like, oh shit. I'm totally cutting a promo on these boys and showing them this majestic animal.
That is wonderful.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I'm just gonna keep it here.
Keep it there. Fantastic. And it says pay-per-view champion. Okay, all right.
Of course it does.
Kudos, champ. Kudos to the champ.
This is my baby. My triple
B. Early
B.
Christmas gift for us all. Look at that.
Yes. I mean, it's gonna stay here, so I'll keep a good eye on it.
Okay, all right. Well, now the stakes done raiseth. Okay, and we got 2.5 weeks out, so it's gonna suck for you to have to mail that to Wichita.
Yeah, because we both know you ain't gonna win it.
We don't know that. We don't know that. I have won the belt. Don't think of me as like, I'm not sitting here like Mizzou. I have won the big one. I have won it. I will win it again. And I do want to just take a little bit of umbrage because, we do not plot against you or team up against you, Mr. I sandbag my answers as much as I can when we did our picks the old way, okay? We just made it fair so everybody makes their picks blindly. That's not teaming up against anybody, okay?
And I never sandbagged. You're always one, even with the champion's advantage of putting in your time last, you still put your time in last. After you saw the champions pick, just saying.
I did it a few times. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely did it.
And
you did it as well.
No, I waited until I was as champion. I waited till the last possible second, put my stuff in.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we do it fair now. Everything's good. Everything's above board, and thanks to our current champion.
Reigning.
We have a wonderful new belt. Thank you, Jamie. That's amazing.
All right. MJF isn't the only one losing their title at World's End.
Oh, the hits are coming fast. All right. One side note here, TNA related. It is now TNA, right? Going back from Impact, which I'm so happy with. They have a signing they announced. He's already been on the show for a while here, kind of to and fro. He was there for a hot spell, then kind of back and forth. But now he's officially signed. Kujita is a TNA contract wrestler. Good for Kujita. It's another thing that I don't know how NXT and WWE dropped the ball on Kujita.
Yeah, I don't know, but as much as I love Kushida, did you guys just see the? Did you guys just see the post about Kota Ibushi? Anybody see that today?
I'm not looking at Twitter. We are broadcasting live. I have software.
I did not see this.
So this is legit reaction.
Okay.
It is being reported that Kota Ibushi is dating Lizzo.
Can you go back for a second? Okay, so I have stuff open on my computer. Sports. I don't have the internet in front of me necessarily.
You said Tokyo Sports and TMZ.
You said there's something about Kota Ibushi you wanted to tell us. Can you start over and say it slow maybe this time?
Okay. It's reported by Tokyo Sports and TMZ that Kota Ibushi is dating Lizzo.
If you had that on your bingo card, go buy a lottery ticket. Wow.
Yeah, so I heard you clearly the first time you said it. I just did not understand that combination of it took me a minute. I let that marinate for a second, and I still cannot form a thought in response. I don't. It's almost hard to comprehend.
Lizzo,
good for him, I guess. But
Lizzo, the hugely successful pop star, R&B singer, flautist, and a guy from Japan who barely speaks English.
I mean, she's 100% that bitch. So,
maybe she saw him riding the bicycle around the arena, bopping people with the lead pipe, and was like, "That's my kink." I didn't know it, but that's what I'm into
right there.
Yeah, new kink unlocked.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just saw that.
GG's to you, Coda. GG's to you. That's all right.
Yeah.
It's an odd pairing. It just sure.
Yeah. That's literally like, having Doink the Clown teaming up with the Undertaker. And they win the tag team titles. That kind of discrepancy.
Okay, well, that's an awkward transition.
Yeah, how do you follow that?
I think
we can turn it into a segment. What are some odd pairings in wrestling that ended up being very successful? See, that's how you do it. That's how you work it in.
The first one, I do like that. That's a good segue back into some relevant, non-mind blowing content. I would actually throw out MVP and Matt Hardy, mostly because I was recently watching through a little bit of that era of SmackDown, and when they did their thing where they were feuding over the U.S. title but became tag champs for a while, they were a really fun pairing that you wouldn't have expected.
Good point.
Hear me out. On paper, this is an extremely successful pairing. Carmella and James Ellsworth.
I enjoyed, like, that's the most I think I've enjoyed Carmella was when they were doing the James Ellsworth thing.
I have another one. I want to get back around. So Jamie, what you got?
So, I mean, I could go William Regal to Tajiri. That one was just a great one. Kane and X-Pac was a great odd pairing.
Shit, anybody, man. They pair Kane up with all sorts of people.
You know, I think I'm going to do it. Hulk Hogan.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
I need a mute.
The Mega Powers.
Yeah, but that's not like really a weird
It's
pairing.
not an odd pairing.
That made a lot of sense at the time.
Yeah, actually, okay, but seriously, Goldust and Booker T.
There you
Goldust
go.
and Booker T was a really good one.
That was a really good
Because
one.
those two, like, oil and gasoline.
Do you have another one, Austin? Because I do.
You go first. I'm still
right.
thinking on it a little bit.
So, this is one of the ones that I didn't know I needed until it happened. Okay? It's also intergender, but in a little different light. ODB and Eric Young.
Oh, that was fun. That was
Yeah.
I love tag teaming. The women's tag team champions. It was so good. It was when I love that crazy, just weird Eric Young's character. It was fantastic. And my God, ODB. If you don't know who ODB is, first of all, shame on you. Go look her up. And if you ever see her meat truck running around, get some meat from her. That's not a gimmick. I'm being legit.
She's living that life.
So I've got another one, and it might come off as a little bit of a hot take. I actually thought when they turned Lord Tensai into a hip hop dancing hippo and teamed him with Brodus Clay, the Funkasaurus, I thought that worked at first. Now, clearly, they just became a jobber team after a while. But one of the few surprise things WWE has done that I legitimately thought was super entertaining was when they aired all those serious vignettes with Brodus Clay, and then he just showed up as a dancing dinosaur. And then you had Albert doing the terrible Lord Tensai gimmick because Vince McMahon was like, oh, he was over in Japan. That'll bring a Japanese audience. But it was just a white guy. Putting him with the Funkasaurus and making them the big guy dancing tag team was a nice little kind of mid-90s throwback that I thoroughly enjoyed.
But would you guys say the most successful odd pairing was the Rock and Sock connection?
Yes.
Yes.
That one made the most sense, though.
Yeah, that's one that it's kind of an odd pairing, but they're both so charismatic and so entertaining. Like, why it wouldn't work? Kind of like MJF and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an odd pairing from where they're coming from in the story getting into it, but they're going to make it fun, and fun's always entertaining.
But I agree that is definitely on the top of that list for sure.
You could almost throw Ricky Starks and Big Bill on that list.
Good point.
I mean, that is an odd pairing, you know.
I mean, putting a smaller, mouthy guy with a big heater has been classic pro wrestling for decades, but I think they actually work really well together as a team.
Yeah. Yeah, that one isn't so SAWFT for sure. But if you will go intergender, I have one last one. Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix.
Fun. Keep going, yeah.
Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix. That was one of the best of all time.
That was
so
good. That was a good
damn funny.
It was great too because they basically did Eddie China but made it silly.
Yes,
phenomenal.
That was fun. That was probably the most I like Santino Marella was when he was doing the thing with Beth Phoenix.
I always enjoyed Santino, but I like a good dose of comedy on my wrestling show.
Same.
Touche.
Not too much, but like a segment.
Yeah. Well, you didn't get too much tonight because we got all go no filler tonight.
Well, there was one piece of filler, but the rest of it was absolutely amazing. The wrestling was phenomenal.
This was a wrestling show.
Yes. The one set the one promo off was hot garbage.
True.
I'm just gonna call it out now. We're just gonna start there, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's get this out of the way.
Yeah,
Let's get out of the way.
Because then we could talk positive the rest of the way. Because the rest of the way is holy shit balls.
Yep.
So that promo off, the crowd hated it. I hated it. The saving grace of the whole thing, honestly, was Ricky Starks. Because
Ricky Starks literally, like, Jericho was drowning out there.
Yeah, that didn't hit.
Well, he called him Big Billy Starks, and then immediately kudos to Excalibur, like Billy Starks challenging for the RH Women's title. If final, it's like way to try and save that for the TV audience. But
kudos to Excalibur for trying to save that segment because it was fucking god awful.
Yeah, low point in the show for sure. And as we talked about last week, they've really hit their stride with like a good balance between wrestling and some story wrapped around it. It's not a coincidence that Jericho shows back up and there's a down point. But yeah, Jericho, he's not even the promo guy he used to be.
No.
And I get it when you fall off in the ring a little bit and you go back to Jericho and Ospreay, like he can still go to a decent degree when he needs to. But that old Jericho that even if you didn't like him would pop you during his promo. Like we haven't seen that Jericho in a long time. The Billy Starks thing, just the crowd, I don't want to say they didn't get it because they understood what he was trying to do and it was just bad, so they didn't react to it.
He knew what he was doing. He was putting it together. He didn't realize that, like, oh, that's somebody on the roster who I just called them.
See, I think he did, and it was him trying to, like, call them a girl's name, which is why it just fell flat because, okay, bro, again, shit that should be left in the 90s. Like, that's not much of an insult anymore,
right.
Especially someone like Ricky Starks. That's got that charisma of The Rock, but he's got that kind of like modern fashion, effeminate style of dressing sometimes. He didn't give a shit if you call him a girl. He'll go down there and beat your ass anyway. And with Jericho not being good in this segment, it brought Kenny down because Kenny's not a phenomenal promo, but he can hold his own if he's in there with other really good promos. But him and Jericho had like no chemistry together in that segment.
No, and to your point, Kenny is not a mudslinging promo guy, right? Which Jericho very much is, right? You know, Jericho is a talk shit on the guy the whole time. Kenny's more about that's the best bout machine, the belt collector. He's the cleaner. That's the type of promo he give. The best promo work he did was when he was heel with Don in AEW with Don Callis and just talking about how good he was, right? That's all it was. It was never about the other guy. And so you put him out there to try and do that, and he takes a shot. He throws a soft jab at them. Okay, haha, cool, right? This and that. But that's not his spot. And thank God for Ricky Starks, though.
Yeah. Ricky Starks is phenomenal on the mic, and he at least gave you a reason to care about this segment. But kind of going back to your point really quick, JJ, there's different types of promos. Kenny's good at I'm going to sell you on this match by grabbing a mic, going out there and telling you why you should tune in and see this.
Absolutely.
But going back and forth is a completely different style of promo that not a lot of people are really quick enough to keep that good and still entertaining. Mm-hmm. And Ricky Starks is. Chris Jericho used to be, but when you've got one person that's kind of quick like that and the other side of it's floundering, it just gets real awkward. And that's how the segment felt.
It's like a press conference with Draymond Green.
Yeah, it was rough, guys. Like
I know you like that one.
I appreciated that one. It was like a spinning back fist to the side of the head that was, incidental. But yeah, no, this one to me, hot garbage. I am a lifelong Jerichoholic, but it is time. We've been saying that for months now.
Yeah.
And I give Sting his flowers, and then just right after that, give Jericho his flowers.
Make him
Double or Nothing, and bye-bye.
I'm still on the lobbying train of make him like a GM of one of these shows, right? He's still there. Yeah. William Regal style, right? And he could pop in 2-3 times a year and do a big match at a pay-per-view. Cool, right? But that's it. He still get TV time. He can still be out there, but not out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we don't need.
All right, so now let's get into some of the good stuff. We'll start with some of the let's start with the full circle part. Like, we'll start with the beginning of the circle and obviously end with the end of the circle. Samoa Joe comes out, and they started with a promo, which is not like them. But he recalls MJF getting attacked, calls out one Adam Hangman Page for being missing and just not being there. The Page comes down, says he doesn't care about MJF, the devil, anything. Joe implies that it's probably him, and blah blah blah. And then here comes Roddy. Roddy comes out
to a big pop, by the way.
Huge pop.
Point that out. A very smart wrestling crowd, Dallas, Texas, right? Big pop for Roddy.
Yeah. And then he keeps yelling that, obviously, we know who the devil is. MJF's the devil. It's not him, guys.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
I know who it is.
I'm wavering. We're going to put a pin in that.
I'm not wavering. I'm confirmed now.
What do you think? What do you think about the possibilities, though, aside from all this? Hangman Page and Samoa Joe on Collision Course for a next feud, potentially. Give me
after
that,
Samoa Joe
right?
gets the belt? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, give me that, right? Give me Joe and Hanger. I mean, that had Hanger still. You just talked about this a second ago, Austin. Hanger also is not one known for his good promo work. But since he's kind of moved into this more darker cowboy bit, he hasn't done much, and he's done it very direct, very old school Austin-esque, right? It works. And responding to the comment of lingering stench of Stetson and disappointment hanging around the scene of the crime, which I'm sorry, that's my favorite. I don't know. Hanger Joe, I am on board for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hanger, I would probably compare to Kenny Omega and what I was just talking about, that I think when Hanger's got to cut that impassioned promo just to the camera to tell you what this upcoming match means to him, he can do that like the best of them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't go back and forth. I say that his backstage segment with MJF last week, I thought he held his own and was great. And so maybe that's something he's improving a bit on. But Hanger's also a guy that, kind of like I was saying before about him being like one of the only true baby faces in AEW, you almost want him to get eaten up in those promos, those back and forth a little bit, because he is kind of lame, but also super cool and charismatic at the same time. Mm-hmm. But he's not one of those guys that necessarily needs to be able to like be super witty and go back and forth, because when he gets in the ring, he's going to beat some ass. And that's your classic old school baby face. They don't always get caught up in the mudslinging. They're just going to ignore it, but they're going to be ready to go when that bell rings. So I like that about Hanger. I would love to see Hanger and Joe. I wonder, with reports that MJF is dealing with a pretty nasty shoulder injury, the possibility of World's End becoming a triple threat. Because if you wanted to protect MJF a little bit, that would be a good way to do it.
Good point. I like that a lot, actually. Because they'll save him a little.
Yeah, it'll save the things MJF has to do in the match. I think with all the storylines going on and the Devil storyline, I think it actually makes the match more interesting.
It ties it in with what they did at the end of the show. So I want to table that for now. That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that at the beginning of the end of the circle or whatever Jamie was talking about.
I got
Time, man. It's a flat circle. The beginning and the end. Where do you start? You start where you finish, and then you start again. So you never finished, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man. So let's just go ahead and just transition right into Hanger Roddy. And my God, that's all I gotta say. Like, the Kingdom was out there doing Kingdom things. It was gorgeous, yet amazingly, in my opinion, I thought this was kind of amazing. Hanger won clean. I honestly thought they'd make a way for Roddy to win or Roddy to lose via disqualification, something like that, to kind of keep Roddy up because he's so big right now.
I don't think he needs it to stay up. And I think that if you're going to set up potentially a three-way, with Hanger, you don't want him losing to Roddy on a random Monday night.
Three-way.
Yeah. I think Roddy can easily eat a pin from someone like Hanger. You don't want him going out there and laying down for Action Andretti or anything like that. But
you don't want anybody laying down for Action Andretti.
Yeah. But no, Roddy should get beat by Hanger. And even though he's super hot, he's still a super hot heel. And your ultimate babyface should be able to cleanly beat your worst guy. He won't always do that, but I think it was a good move for Hanger. Roddy doesn't lose anything by getting beat by Hangman. And I think you also got to be careful about getting Roddy too hot with wins because you're really crowded at the top right now. And you need some guys kind of in between the middle of the card and the very top to kind of fill that area in a bit. So yeah, I'm all right with Roddy eating a pin here.
Yeah, he doesn't need any wins. He is there for story.
He would be a great trios champion.
Yeah.
That's potentially
him in the Kingdom.
I would like to see him in the Kingdom.
I mean, we
have
enough belts.
Okay.
We have enough belts. They can have some of them.
When's the last time you even saw the trios championship? Who even has
the
it?
Acclaimed
right now?
has it. Right.
The Acclaimed, because the last time I saw him was here in Wichita on November 4th, like 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Remember, they're selling that $5,000 replica belt. So
that's right, with the scissor.
They did their 69th day of being champion celebration. Oh yeah, and then they got their asses beat by the devil. That happened in between. They've been selling that for a while. Going back to this match really quick, I do gotta say it was phenomenal for 99.9%. I hated the Deadeye as a finish. It looked super safe and fake. Like Roddy never came close to, because he's so much shorter than Paige, he never came close to hitting the mat, and the camera was zoomed right on it for it.
Cameras in the room. It was not the best Deadeye they've shown.
You've got to always shoot the Deadeye from dead on, because if you veer to the side at all, there's not a way to really do that move where if you're shooting from the side or the back, it looks good because you don't want their head to actually hit the mat. But you got to shoot that from straight on because then they can't actually see what's going on behind, and then you're good. But
yeah,
so it happens. But the match itself was phenomenal.
Yeah, a good point. Like you want the magic, the mystique of the move, and
you just shoot around it, and it makes it. You don't notice it when you don't actually see it.
Sure.
But when it's blatant on camera, anything that just takes you out of the moment is never what you're looking for.
Yeah. All right. So do we just want to get to the match of the night, guys? At least in my opinion. Andrade El Idolo versus Brody King.
But this is match of the night. That's a bold statement there, Cotton.
I mean, did you watch it?
Oh, I loved it. Heather wants to know it. Heather says that he needs a finisher like the Heat Seeker. So anyway,
you know what? You know what? As champion, I don't want that move being referenced on this show. It'll be no longer known as the Heat Seeker. It's going to be known as the Jobber Finisher 1, which is what it should be called.
All right. Well, you're not a dictator. I'm going to keep saying Heat Seeker as much as I want. Let's keep going. So, match of the night. Really?
You must respect my authority. All right. So, match of the night, at least in my opinion, Brody King versus Andrade El Idolo. This match, bruising, beautiful. You had the silverback beast of Brody King with his patented barks that gets the crowd just rocking. Andrade looking more swole than I've ever seen him look. Like he's on the savage sauce, if you know what I mean. And he is just looking jacked. And honestly, guys, I was a little surprised with the outcome.
I was too, especially considering, for what it's worth. And we'll talk about this later on, especially when we get to my match of the night, But the Blue League is a lot more intriguing just because of the way they're setting everything up. I mean, Danielson lost to Andrade last week. He had his eye basically, he just pummeled in, his open scar and all this stuff, right? And Brody's been on a tear. Brody demolished Claudio, right?
Yeah.
So, but then they come into this match here, and it's almost like a pick'em, and I was a little surprised as well that Brody didn't win. But I'm happy because I feel like they're doing more to keep kind of the mystery open on the blue side of things than the gold side.
Don't get me started on the gold.
I thought the same until the end of this episode. And we'll put a pin in that until we get to some later matches. But I think the gold league could be going towards a real interesting finish. We'll get to it later.
I hear you.
But yeah, I really liked Andrade getting the win here. It wasn't really expected, but it's not one of those things where you're looking at it asking why would they do that.
Exactly.
And it adds a lot of parity to the Blue League. Which, yeah, the Blue League, originally you're kind of looking at it like, all right, Danielson's probably running through that. But yeah, it's real interesting. The Blue League's kind of still up in the air a little bit.
Okay, I'm just gonna get into it. The Blue League's how this damn tournament is supposed to be. You don't know who's gonna win.
Right.
The Gold League is
there.
The Gold League is not how it's supposed to go. Except for
Daniel Garcia, but we do that. But no, it's mystery.
So really quick note on Daniel Garcia. I was thinking about this earlier. They announced last week, or they didn't announce, but just during commentary, Excalibur mentioned that they will be doing this again next year. And even if you're eliminated, a good showing in the later matches could get you back in. And I wouldn't mind seeing Daniel Garcia going 0 for 5 this year, but going back into it next year and making the final. Like, that's a good story and some development you can kind of tell over a year with one of your younger guys that could be a big star for you in the future.
I think if they have a good long-term plan for Daniel, I think that's a good way to execute it. Yes.
Yeah,
agreed. I like that. I like that a lot.
Especially because, like I said earlier, they're very crowded at the top right now. So you got to be careful about pushing them too far. But you could tell a really long build, and you could spend most of that year turning Daniel Garcia into a babyface. People love the dance. People want to cheer him. You could take your time with that and tell a really good story by the time you get to this tournament next year.
Yeah. Now, they did reveal another rule in the middle of this match, Jamie. Did you catch the extra rule?
No, I did not.
Okay, so I thought they said something about the semifinals. I originally thought it was at World's End, but it's not. So the episode before World's End, so in 2 weeks' time, you're going to have the semifinal matches. So you have the top 2 out of the Gold League and the top 2 out of the Blue League, right? So top 2 point getters on both sides. So honestly, you're really just shooting to be second is really the idea here. But they made mention, they made it during this match, that if there's a tie in points before that semifinal match, whoever won the head-to-head, because you face everybody in your league, right? Whoever won the head-to-head has the tiebreaker, like they do in football and baseball, right? If you win, you have the tiebreaker, right? So, again, to Jamie's point, it would have been nice to know this maybe, when they first announced the tournament, with all the other rules. But, hey, there's a tiebreaker.
What if they tied each other? Oh, wait. AEW doesn't do ties right now.
I'm going to talk about that, too.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. All right. After this, we had Ruby Soho
Hey, Ruby.
going up against returning Riho. Riho has new gear, gentlemen. She went from looking like a 10-year-old girl to a 15-year-old girl now.
So it's less creepy now for some people.
It still is, but she can wrestle her ass off. Like, I love me some Riho. Like, she's got the little jacket now and everything. The change is good for her.
Yeah.
Absolutely great for her. I mean, she went up against the lovable loser that is Ruby, that will never win a title in AEW, but she's content and happy.
One day she
will. No.
Oh, Ruby.
Was this really? Was this actually Ruby though? We don't know. Toni Storm convinced it's not.
He has green hair.
Highlight of the night for me was Toni Storm's running bit that's not Ruby Soho. That's an imposter because Ruby has green hair and this lady has black hair. Toni on commentary was phenomenal. You don't always get, when you bring a talent in on commentary to sit in on a match, you don't always get them just like killing it the entire time. They might get a line or two off.
Right.
A lot of times they're sitting in the background just kind of like observing and getting cued in here and there. Toni was running the commentary team this entire match, and it was hilarious.
I mean, she has dug so deep into this gimmick. It's amazing. Right?
It's so good. It's so good.
Dutch put on there like the dim hose. Like that perfect. Like Soho. It says Soho. She's like, Soho.
Soho.
It's so like timeless Toni Storm is the best thing that's happened to that women's division. Period. Bar none. End of story.
They still could have been 2 matches. I'm just gonna say it still could have been 2 matches. You could have got rid of the
not tonight.
Golden Jets thing. You didn't need to have that. You could have got rid of that.
Yeah, but not tonight. You had to set up. You had to set the tag team.
I'm not gonna get it.
As god awful as that segment was, you had to set that up because the rest of the show was amazing.
Tony Khan for 2 matches until I get it, even though I never will. I don't care.
And this match was phenomenal.
There's no reason to believe it wouldn't be. Ruby and Riho are both fantastic workers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the match was solid. You had Toni there in commentary to put it over the top. I do enjoy, if they are only going to do a single women's match, have someone involved in their story out there on commentary, kind of keeping the division moving along.
Yes.
Right. The women's division, while it's never going to get a ton of time, you've got something good with your main title. You've got something interesting going with Julia Hart and Abaddon in the TBS title. Mm-hmm. You're telling some interesting stories. They're only getting one segment.
There's potentially a Sky Blue thing in the middle of that somewhere, right? You've got good stuff you got going on the ROH side of things. The Billy Starks Athena story is actually legit really freaking good, you know? Mariah May's hanging around. You know she's going to play into this somehow, right? You know? So you've got threads you can pull there. Just, you're right. I personally would like to see more on TV, but I'm greedy.
And then in addition to all that, you have Ruby Soho, who's
going to win a title one day.
Still using Saraya's entrance music and video, but Saraya just isn't showing up with her anymore.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's an intentional and it's a bit now to make Ruby seem like the most pathetic character in all of wrestling. And I don't mean like pathetic in the way that like you feel sad for her, I guess is a better way to put it. That's not a new gimmick. That's a shtick that's been around, right? I kind of wish they would lean into it a little bit more.
They did that for AJ Styles back in TNA when he was Kurt Angle's lackey. And we're talking about AJ Styles here, for God's sake, right? So,
I think it
can work.
One, it gives you something interesting to do with Ruby, and 2, over time, those sympathetic or those it's almost not sympathetic. It's almost you almost like pity him a little bit. But those become baby faces over time.
Exactly. And you can set her up for long term. Like, hey, we have a plan for you long term, right? You know, maybe at All Out next year, she wins the TBS title, right? As the big payoff.
Probably not, but we can hope.
She can win a title.
Maybe if she comes on this show and does pay-per-view picks.
Yeah, maybe. There's a chance there. She has an inside source, so she probably get 100% every time. No, so I will say this: Ruby will never own a singles title in AEW. singles title.
Okay.
Singles.
You think they're going to come out with tag titles?
Eventually, yes. When they finally figure out that the women's division needs to be just a little bit more. It's going to happen.
I find that less than likely. Like, if I had to put money down, I would bet that they don't come out with women's tag titles.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Their women's roster, and especially if you just narrow it down to the women they actually feature, it's just not that deep. Like, it's deep enough to support 2 singles titles, but if you throw women's tags on that, you spread your talent really thin, and you're going to run out of just matches and matchups before too long.
Because you only have so much you're dedicating, and they're cycling people. Diamante, Red Velvet, Chris Statlander now, right? You know, all these other ones, they're getting just cycled. So they'll be up for a little bit, and then they're in, and then they're out, and then, you know, it's carousel of sorts.
You have 3 big names out there with injuries. You have Thunder Rosa, you have Britt Baker, and you have Jamie Hayter. When they come back, obviously all of them are going to be in the top tier, right? Yep. So what are you going to do with your mid tier other than going for the TBS title? Tag teams. Makes a lot of sense.
Don't get me wrong. It would not surprise me one bit. This is Tony Khan we're talking about here, who is just in the current midst of adding another men's championship to the fracas. Okay? And ROH is never supposed to play into TNA TV, right? Yeah, we saw how well that worked, right? So will he add women's titles? You're damn straight he probably will, sooner than he should. But I agree with Austin. It's like you gotta build an avenue for that, whether that's through Collision, you know, if you want to focus maybe Collision have more women's content on it to support that, to give when they come back, what do you do with everyone else? Where does Ruby go, right? Ruby goes on the show for 6 months.
When they come back, like when you get Britt and Hayter back, from what I understand, Thunder Rosa is just a healthy scratch. She's been doing the Spanish commentary, but I think she's been cleared for a while. And they're just not doing anything with her. But when you get Britt and Hayter back, that fleshes out your main event scene, your women's main event scene a little bit more.
Yep.
Because, I mean, they're literally pulling Riho off the bench and heating her up really quick to give Tony an opponent for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, they're doing the Jade Cargill thing right now.
I don't think there's not a big backlog where, like the men's division, where someone like a Jay White or a Swerve, you don't like, they could hold the title easily, but you don't know if they'll ever actually get it. Swerve probably will, but there's just so much talent there that in the women's division, you want a healthy few options to carry your main title. So I think them coming back just fleshes the singles divisions out a little bit more. Still doesn't quite necessitate the need for women's tag titles yet. I would like to see Rampage be the show where you're getting at least 2 women's matches every week.
That'd be fine.
Start it there.
You got 3 shows. Use one of them to focus more on women, right? Cool. Then you can justify this stuff.
Yeah, and if you are super into women's wrestling, and not to imply that I don't care about women's wrestling, but if you're one of those people that really wants a lot more women's wrestling content, they'll see more people watch Rampage. You ain't got to watch it on Friday night. It's on demand as soon as it airs. You can get it, but have a show that's dedicated to that, because what else are you really doing with Rampage? Doesn't have to be all women's, but like 50-50 on your Friday night show.
4 matches, 2 men, 2 women. Call it good.
Yeah.
Gucci. Like
Gucci.
it.
They're obviously setting up Riho, and so they've already made the match for tag titles at World's End. So Golden Jets versus Bill and Ricky. And they're obviously setting up Riho and Tony for World's End. Right?
Yeah, and we already have Samoa Joe, MJF. We have the finals, which will probably end up being
save that.
Daniel Bryan and Moxley, probably. Because, you know, we haven't seen that match before. All right. Before this match, though, there was a really quick little thing with the Von Erichs. You got a decent little reaction from the crowd. The Von Erich boys are going to be in a tag team match or triple threat match with Orange Cassidy up against somebody. I forgot who it is, but whatever. They're going to be on Rampage.
It does not matter.
But hey, the Von Erichs, ladies and gentlemen, just in time for the Iron Claw, which I am actually taking the family to go see next Friday.
Ah, there you go.
I'm really excited about it. It looks really damn
looks
good.
really good.
I'm really stoked about the freaking
All right,
Iron
so they
Claw.
ended the show. Can we talk about, because they just went, all right, you've had enough stuff. Let's just wrestle the rest of the night here.
Yeah, it was hit. So the next match was Roosh versus Jay Lethal. And I think Roosh might be legit injured because he was not as nimble as he usually is. What you guys think? You think it was a work, or you think it's legit?
He's probably banged up somewhat. I don't know how injured he is, but he's banged up for sure.
Yeah, it could be banged up. Could have just had a long flight to Dallas and was a little stiff, working through some injuries or something. I thought, like, he didn't look hobbled or like he just couldn't go. But yeah, not 100% of the Roosh we normally see, but he got through it. I do have to say, kind of like the finish of Roddy and Paige earlier in the night, the last two like little moves right before the finish, they just looked super choreographed. When Roosh went for his running drop kick and Jay Lethal was going to pop up and go to cut him off, he walked so slow across the ring to get there for it. Like, you knew the cutoff was coming.
Yeah.
When Jay Lethal went for that back handspring and got caught in the sleeper, he like clearly stopped himself. It's that little stuff that when you have wrestlers that are that good doing really cool shit earlier in the match, those little like choreographed looking spots at the finish this was the weaker match of the night for me. It was still good, but
Yeah,
not as good as the rest of the show.
agreed.
I think it was, yeah. It's like when you have this as like the bottom tier match, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
card,
absolutely.
because it was still
It's still a pretty high bar because I mean, Roosh can go, Jay Lethal can go. Roosh obviously picks up the dub and the 3 points, and then afterwards there's more dissension between Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Co. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
they're setting up that.
called.
They've been teeing up this break for a month now, so they're gonna make Jay face cool, right? I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, which I mean, fine, I guess, but who really cares about a babyface Jay Lethal in 2023? And where do you put him on the card?
Well,
if he goes full Black Machismo, I am in.
ooh.
Top. Let's go. Get him a belt now.
I would like to see you're about to relaunch the renew old TNA in February. Do a talent exchange. Send Jay Lethal over there to TNA to have a nice run at the top, and send anyone from your women's division over to AEW.
Anybody.
Yeah, because they've got a really good
Jordan
stable
Grace.
of women's wrestlers over there in TNA, and I'd like to see
TNA
any number of them get sent over.
TNA does probably the best women's attention.
Send me Deanna Perrazzo.
Oh,
I
they'll
would
never-
be
they'll
in.
never let Pirazzo go. We might get you
Oh, I know.
Shaw. You know, that'd be cool.
Oh,
Uh,
that would be
I
great.
just saw a story
I would
like a
take
week
Shaw.
ago that Deanna hadn't re-signed yet, and she was going to be a free agent.
Oh.
Oh.
That would be a good pickup for AEW.
Yeah. Oh,
That would
and
be-
JJ, and Alex, Austin. I can't. Dutch says, "Man, I can't talk right now. I'm just all
Wow,
just covered
words.
up."
Words are tough.
I
yo.
know. Dutch says, "I care about babyface Jay Lethal."
I think
There you go.
here's
He's got
here's-
one fan.
and I agree with you.
Got
Kudos
one.
to you, Dutch. Because here's what I would say. You were just asking a couple weeks ago, Austin, where's your true baby faces in this company?
Black
Here we go.
Machismo, baby.
Black Machismo,
Yeah,
They
oh,
went Machismo
or just
As-
baby face Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal
As
could
a
be decent.
caveat to my statement, if he turned face and went full Black Machismo Jay Lethal, then yeah, absolutely. 100% here
I
for
would
it.
like to see, because he's now associated with somehow, kind of, with AEW. Him, and you have his segment backstage. He's getting into it, frustrated with, Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay Dutt and all this stuff. He walks away and bumps into the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who talks shit on him for a second, gives him a smack, and smacks the Black Machismo back into him. There's your spot. Do it.
I'm here for that. I'm on board with that. But I feel like it's just going to be a lukewarm babyface run where,
babyface. It will be.
yeah, he leaves Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay and them, and then just jobs out on the occasional middle of Dynamite match.
I mean, they found gold in Tony Khan going semi-crazy into this new persona. Use it more. I mean, wrestling is about replication, right, Austin? Everything's a copy of a copy, right?
If it used to work, it'll work again. You just got to give enough time in between.
Bring back sexual chocolate. Let's go.
All right. So that's probably of the three final one. That's probably number 3. These go in order, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. Because then you had Jay White versus Mark Briscoe, Dem Boys. So fun fact on Dem Boys, I don't know if you guys saw this, but somebody, an idiot in WWE Twitter, had a picture of the new faction of the Street Profits and why can't I think of his name now? Bobby Lashley. And it said hashtag Dem Boys. And everybody's like, you must live under a freaking rock. Like, it was so bad.
But that's kind of a good point, because I would not be surprised at all if any of the number of interns that run WWE social media aren't wrestling fans and don't know anything that's pro wrestling outside of WWE.
They probably never heard the name Briscoe in their life.
Yeah, because Dem Boys is something like Cowboys fans say all the time about the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
It's a somewhat known saying. In pro wrestling, it's the Briscoes, but I could totally see WWE having people running their Twitter that have never heard of Mark or Jay Briscoe and just thought it was a cool thing to put on this tweet.
They've done it so many times. Like, Yeet got nixed, and then they just did Dem Boys. It's like, come on, man. They just settled their lawsuit with MLW, you know?
I don't care. They have more money than anybody. They're going to do what they want, and if they mess up, like, we'll fix it later. We'll find a way to fix it.
Yeah, they tweeted out after that. They said they settled all their lawsuits, and F you, Debbie. I don't know who that is.
I don't know either, but whatever.
Dude, Eminem, good God. I settled all my lawsuits. Fuck you, Debbie. Nothing?
Oh.
I haven't listened to Eminem in a very long time.
I was never that big of an Eminem fan.
Love me some Eminem. My daughters love Eminem.
I got to see Eminem live in like 2000, 2001-ish, and that was pretty cool.
That was the right time to see him, yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed Eminem when I was like 14, and just not as much as an adult.
Yeah. All right, so this match, though, for what it's worth, and they keep kind of playing on the RH card, you know. I think they're they're doing heavy throwback. I think it's just kind of filler for Jay, because it seems like every match they kind of show some old ROH, you know, videotape of him. It's just filler for him, and it's also them trying to sell buy-ins for, you know, ROH TV or whatever the hell their app is, you know.
Yeah, well, they got a big pay-per-view coming up Friday, which we'll talk about. But yeah,
they have a medium pay-per-view coming up Friday.
Well, for them, it's fair enough. But you can get on the Honor Club. So Jay White, Jay Briscoe, or Mark Briscoe. Jesus, I did it again.
Wow, dude.
I know, man. I did it again.
Hard.
I was struggle bussing it hard today. So this match, I thought was honestly very good. To your guys' point, Jay White, of course, gets the dub, so he is still technically in the race on the gold side. This got him to 9 points.
And the way that they're setting it up here, you just gotta get the second. You don't need to win the whole thing. You don't need to win your division. You just gotta get the second to have a shot. So
I'm still keeping a pin in the gold league until we get done with talking about the main.
Yeah.
They got a chance to do something pretty interesting.
Let's real fast. So final resolution, ROH pay-per-view coming up this Friday. We've already talked about
Final battle.
Final battle.
Yeah.
See, words are hard for you too, bro.
No, pay-per-view titles are hard for me. Names are hard for you. JJ has always struggled. If you watch this if you listen to this podcast or watch this podcast for any length of time, you know JJ messes up pay-per-view names like they're going out of style. You're like, that's what I was meant to do, right?
I could say Japanese names at least.
You can. So we already talked about Billy Starks challenging Athena for the women's title there, and they were building up big in this because it's the anniversary of Jay Briscoe's final match, and also the final in the trilogy of the FTR matches, the double dog collar madness from last year's final battle. I still don't know if I like that or the 2 out of 3 falls better, because my God, they're so good.
Yeah. Like,
So,
I'd take them equally.
I probably would lean towards 2 out of 3 just because it was more time on my screen. So they're doing Mark Briscoe and FTR versus the BCC.
Yep.
I feel that's going to be a good fitting tribute match, and yeah, and then they got some other matches set up. They got Keith Lee going up against
Shane Taylor.
Shane Taylor.
Yep.
You know,
Hi, I got that one. Let's go.
meat. Get that meat out.
You have El Hijo del Vikingo versus Black Taurus for the AAA Mega title. You have obviously Billy Starks going against Athena. You have Eddie Kingston going against Evil Uno. Dude, you got some good stuff.
Good
Then
card.
you have Ethan Page in an I Quit match against Tony Nese.
Recently jacked freaking Ethan Page. I don't know.
Man. Cesar,
So final battle, it seems like they booked a pay-per-view and forgot about it till like a week ago. And ROH is in such a weird place. You're doing your final battle, your big year-end show. Your ROH championship is tied up in a tournament that's not on ROH, and your tag titles are also not going to be defended on this show either.
Right.
But that FTR and Briscoe against BCC will probably be just an awesome match.
Yeah. The problem is, where's that at? It's through their subscription service, the Honor Club.
Yeah.
So how many?
Honor Club.
I just kept waiting for that Max deal to drop. It's gotta drop sometime in 24. It's gotta drop sometime in 24. Please put this on HBO Max. Come on.
January 1st, right after their last 2023.
I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll take it. And still for the future, that's so I don't have to go searching other places to find these pay-per-views.
Like, how do I even watch this, right? Because obviously we don't pay for that.
Live without you. All right, the second 1B match of the night.
Match of the night by far.
1A.
Nah.
Brody King is 1A. This is 1B.
Nah.
Yes.
You are incorrect.
No. I'm the champion, so clearly I'm not as incorrect as you are.
That's not how this works.
You have Swerve versus Mox and an absolute classic banger that did not last all 20 minutes, which is bullshit.
Raise your hand if you thought this was going to be the draw of this tournament.
I didn't think this was going to a draw.
I was sold on it. I thought for sure.
I was too.
The fact they kept bringing it up, and they kept bringing it up. They brought the tiebreaker, and they kept bringing all this stuff up. I'm like, this is going to be the draw.
This is it. This is our moment, guys.
I still hope they do a draw at some point in time, but they're running out of opportunities. It's going to be real weird to outline that in your scoring and never use it. Like,
they have to use it.
It should happen at least once. But that being said, this match was phenomenal. This was match of the night for me. Andrade and Brody King was really good, but you had two kind of heel characters that you just expected good wrestling from, which it was great wrestling. It was a phenomenal match. Mm-hmm. This was two absolute top guys that are both on a tear. So you're interested to see, okay, is somebody going to win? Because that draw is there. And that's why I like that they didn't use the draw here. They gave you a finish when you thought there might not be one, which is always fun and exciting.
Yeah, Swerve.
Yeah.
Swerve, if you would.
Yeah. They Swerve hitting the stomp through the chair and then hitting another stomp in the ring. Like, looked like Swerve was winning. That got kicked out. Like, it was absolute phenomenal match. At first, I was a bit surprised Mox won. I thought this would be a good chance to to give Swerve another win and keep his run going.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to pull the pin out of the Gold League. What I would find real interesting, because if you're going to book a tournament like this, you want a little bit of controversy somewhere.
Yes.
If Swerve wins next week against, I think Roosh is who he's wrestling, which he will probably beat Roosh.
Mm-hmm.
But Jay White beats Mox. Now you have a 3-way tie in the Gold League where they're all sitting at the same points, but they all beat each other. That's fun storytelling. I'd assume you do a triple threat to see who goes on to the final.
Oh, yeah.
Which unfortunately would step on my idea of making the world title at World's End a triple threat, but they're different shows. That's happened a week before, so you could still do it. But I think this is going to a 3-way tie at the top of the Gold League. Or at least that's what I would do with it.
I would too. God, that is phenomenal.
That's really good
booking.
And they even did too with the way that they shot the finish there. Swerve's shows were definitely not fully on the mat. And they even said on commentary, they made mention about where the rest position was because he was positioned behind him. I think it's all a work, the whole thing. Anyway, they're selling it, right?
Everything's a work.
Everything's a work. Everything. And just that plays into it so much more too. I like that. I really
and
like
so with that controversial finish, did y'all see Roosh's promo after losing to Mox last week?
No, I missed. I don't. I did. I
don't think they aired it on the show. I think it was just social media.
I did.
But he was storming through the back, complaining that the ref never checked him and he never actually tapped out.
Oh yeah.
So,
that's what. Yeah.
I wonder if they're starting a running theme of, well, Mox didn't really earn these victories to run to whatever. And then Roosh, after that, Roosh won his match with the sleeper this week. But yeah, I think a 3-way tie gives you a little bit of a fun extra thing. And it also keeps all three of these guys that you really want still at the top of your card. It keeps them looking even no matter who comes out in the end to wrestle at World's End for the final championship.
Wait.
I also think if you go to the triple threat, I think Jay White comes out of it because Jay White can eat a loss from whoever comes out of the Blue League later. And you don't really I don't think you want to give Swerve or Mox this new championship. I don't think they need that. Like, I'd like to see Swerve go into the main title, and Mox doesn't need a belt for a while. He can do a million different things to a million people, but Jay White's one you could send out and have someone you got coming out, probably Bryan Danielson, end up winning that in the finals.
See, I would disagree. I would say putting the belt on Swerve is where you want to go with this now. Simply because I don't think you're going to take Swerve and move him in the title picture. Your plan is to have Hanger in that title picture next, is what it looks like. And I think if you really want to do this, you've laid the seed already. You want to circle back to Hanger and Swerve when it's going to make you the most money. Big title match at, I don't know, London, maybe, before then.
No, that's Ospreay's. That's Ospreay's moment.
Potentially Ospreay. Potentially.
Nah, there's no potential. It's his moment.
I don't like the idea of crowning Swerve with a lesser title right now.
Me either.
He's
I'm
got
right there with you.
3 lesser titles, though.
That doesn't make them any greater.
By mass, it does.
I think it makes sense for Brody. If you're going to name anybody out of this whole thing that could benefit from those titles being merged and put on somebody, Brody King makes the most sense.
I mean, Brody makes a lot of sense. Eddie makes a lot of sense. Claudio makes
Eddie's eliminated. They're all eliminated. So Brody's your guy.
I know.
Brody's your guy.
We're staring down the barrel of a Danielson-Moxley final. We know this, right? So we're just trying to talk our way out of it one way or another with someone else who could fit the bill is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I really hope Mox doesn't make the final. I would like to see someone else. I also just don't want to see Danielson and Mox again. They started the whole Blackpool Combat Club thing with that. You don't need to go to that. Brody would not be a bad option to win this initial title. I think putting it on Danielson makes it a little bit more legitimate off the bat. I think he elevates it a bit. Whereas if you throw it on someone like Brody King, you're running the risk of, oh, they just made another mid-card title, throw on mid-card guy. I think given the first run to someone like Danielson, who's widely regarded as one of the best wrestlers in the world, and having a showcase of Danielson defending that on Dynamite fairly regularly against the million people you'd like to see him wrestle against, I think that's a fun initial run until you put it on somebody else. But yeah, going back to the triple threat thing, I think that's how you get Mox out of the final. He doesn't eat the pin in the triple threat. Because you have the issue that there's no interference allowed,
So
but when you've
Rouge
got
comes
3
out
guys in there,
and pulls Mox out, and
yeah, some fuckery can happen there. So I don't know. But that being said, through the way it started for the first few weeks, we are sitting here 2 weeks before the semifinals, not entirely sure who's coming out of either side.
that's a good point.
So good, well done to the people booking this shit.
Just give us a tie. I don't care if it's Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia. Give us a tie somewhere.
It's gonna be Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe.
That I actually like. Honest to God.
Just give me one.
But I think if you are still somewhat booking Ring of Honor in conjunction with Dynamite, and you're trying to use that to get some people to watch Ring of Honor, I think having them tie in the last match of this tournament and both finish with 1 point, you can run that into a story on Ring of Honor TV that has a little bit of wind underneath it to be some interesting TV.
There's legs with that there. I think that there's honestly, I think the only badge to your point is Mox Danielson. Because
yeah, I think that just doesn't excite anybody.
Doesn't excite anybody. It's a little too obvious when you look at the things, right?
On the nose, right?
Yeah, you just don't need it here. There's so many other more interesting matchups that you can pull out of this tournament. I like Danielson and Jay White in the final. That's
I
my
would
pick.
love that. I would love that final. I mean, I would love Danielson Swerve too.
Yeah,
I
Danielson
feel
Swerve
Danielson
well.
Swerve is the way to go.
But you can't have Daniel. He can't have Swerve eat a pin right now. That's the thing. You can't have Swerve lose.
I'm full on board with Swerve winning these belts. That's my stance. I'm sticking to it.
I'm just enjoying that we're actually able to have this conversation, because a few weeks ago we were all like, "Oh, it's over," and now they've added a little mystery to this thing. So again, Austin, your point.
Throwing on a little bit more fantasy booking here. You do the triple threat.
Island.
Jay White pins Swerve after Mox hits something. Because Swerve can eat a pin in a triple threat. Anyone can eat a pin in a triple threat. It's chaos. Anything can happen.
Cats and so dogs living together.
You do Danielson and Jay White at World's End for your Continental Breakfast Coastal Classic Championship. Yeah. And then you give us Swerve and Mox in a death match.
Please.
Might be a little bit too soon to go back to that, but
why not?
You want to sell some pay-per-views? That's going to sell some pay-per-views.
The death match was amazing. This match tonight between the two of them was amazing.
Give us a barbed wire death
more
match,
of that, right?
And you can run it back. You can give Swerve his win back at World's End. Yeah, you can give Swerve his win back in a gimmick match, a hardcore style match. So he didn't beat Mox clean in a regular wrestling match.
And Mox
but Swerve gets that.
It doesn't matter.
He gets his win back, and he's still as hot as he ever was. And now he's beaten Hangman and Mox in death matches and back-to-back pay-per-views. That's how you build a character right there.
Well, we're gonna have to see over the next. So next week would be the last matches and league play. Okay. And in 2 weeks, we have the semifinals to determine who's going to be in that main event, co-main event, the match on the pay-per-view. Speaking of main event, I think we've reached the end of the circle, or the middle of the end, or the beginning of the circle. I don't know. I'm confused.
Yes, we're at where the circle becomes complete. So after the show, they show Hanger being attacked by the Devil's Men, and they oddly look very similar to the sizes of certain individuals, which I'll be able to name here shortly, to which they beat the hell out of Hanger. They start to pick up Hanger, and then they look to the car, and in the car, the devil is there, gives him the nod, and then they end up doing a double choke slam into the windshield of that vehicle. So, gentlemen, I ask you again, who is the devil?
I have jumped ship. I'm on the MJF train now. MJF's the devil.
I'm not ruling that out as a possibility, but I am stating that that's a very bad possibility.
I don't love it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I believe that's who it is.
This is what hangs me up on the pay-per-view picks sometimes. I will pick things I really want to see, knowing full well that I am bound to be disappointed.
I picked Ruby Soho in every title match she's been in. Trust me, I know. Hey, Ruby.
I am still not over Jay White not winning at Full Gear.
He was very mad, Jamie.
I will be salty about that until the day I die, and probably a significant amount of time after that.
Because it could have got you this beautiful belt.
It could have. It could have. But now me and Jay White are both beltless.
Beautiful.
MJF, like I was saying last week, MJF as the devil makes no sense in the larger context of the story. Now you can do the hindsight is 2020, and you can make some bullshit up to try and make the pieces fit after the fact. But MJF being the devil, you clearly did not lay that out from the beginning, or you would have done other things. And also, why is he doing this to himself? What has it really done for him that would, again, make it make sense?
I agree with you. I feel like that's where it's going now.
Yeah, it very well could. And I really hope they don't, because AEW doesn't tend to make these kind of story, like that grievous of a story error that often, where it's just, why? That's dumb.
Can I circle back?
Yeah.
Let me explain just real fast why I'm on board. I'm team MJF as the devil now. I feel like Adam's actual injury is taking longer than they want to give this storyline to play out. So they made it audible, and that's why MJF, I believe, is now the devil. I feel like it's always been meant to be Adam Cole. But my feeling is that his timeline for return is going longer than they want this story to go. Because, that's what my gut is telling me. That's why I think that's why I'm now on board with MJF as the devil. That's why they made the change.
And I understand that reasoning, but that still doesn't mean have to.
I just say it. That's what I believe.
Yeah, it still doesn't mean you've got to mail this in and then just pick something to get it over with. That's not good pro wrestling TV.
Well,
there's a ton of other people on the roster. If you've got a rush to get it done, make it somebody out of left field. It's a masked guy. It wouldn't be the most satisfying ending, but it wouldn't leave you wondering, well, why has he been doing this to himself for several months now for
I know.
no real benefits?
I'm just saying.
I do think Adam Cole's injury and taking longer definitely is impacting this a bit. But you can still have better options for that reveal. You could make it Roddy. Maybe it's Roddy, the Kingdom, and Wardlow, and it was literally just about, you were taking my best friend away from me, so we're taking all this away from you.
I mean, yeah.
Not the most satisfying payoff, but it makes sense, and Roddy's hot right now. Like, Roddy's doing good work, so you can make that work.
I mean, they had Hanger and Roddy had a thing tonight, so I get it.
I'm gonna let Jamie list
I want to know who's Jamie's the Mark Stradamus.
Before I step on his spot a bit.
Yeah, what has Mark Stradamus brought about here?
So the people in the mass were the Kingdom, Roddy, and Wardlow. Very obvious in their builds. The person in the mask came to me hard. Like, I figured it out. I had changed wording there. I figured it out pretty quick when I saw a person go through a windshield. Jack Perry. The use of real glass.
So as soon as Hangman got choke slammed onto that windshield, I kind of hoped he would roll over, half sell, and be like, "Cry me a river." I would be 100% on board with Jack Perry being the devil. That is probably an unpopular opinion, not shared by most AEW fans.
Oh man,
but that's interesting to me.
I mean, he's mysteriously. I mean, his suspension or whatever he had, it's long gone. He's healthy from all accounts that I've heard, right?
So outside of Chicago, do you think he would come to a King's Welcome, though?
I don't know about King's Welcome, but I think he'd be very well received, yes.
Like, I feel like people would go nuts.
I still like the idea of him with Christian for the reasons I've said in the past. That's more me fantasy booking than anything else, though. You know, they don't need to do that for Christian or anybody, right? But I feel like it would be a good fit for him. He's got to be coming back somewhere sometime soon, so
I think if it is Jack Perry, you have to handle the reveal and the next appearance on Dynamite. I would assume the reveal would come out of pay-per-view, but however you're going to do it, you've got to book it just right, because you do run some risk with Jack Perry of people feeling underwhelmed and you not getting the reaction you would really want.
Yeah.
But if you do it right, that's a great way to introduce someone a little bit out of left field, but still one of your pillars. And you can now turn this to, you know, his thing with MJF. I got rid of CM Punk, something you couldn't do. Like, there's a story you can start pulling on there. Got to be fleshed out a bit. But.
And there's already strings with MJF because of the pillar thing, the 4-pillar match that they had, right? And they had a follow-up to that where Jack Perry had a really good match with MJF, but MJF's always thing was, you don't belong on my level, right? I think that's really kind of where the whole level started. It was with the pillars, right? You guys aren't on the level with me, right? You know, and he especially was saying that at Jack Perry. So there's actually legs to that history to the smart wrestling fan. Now, is that everybody that's watching Dynamite every week going to know all those things? No. But if to your point, if they do frame that in the right way, I'm with you. I'm on board with that.
You can tie all that up in a 2 to 3 minute video package. You can catch everyone up on
absolutely
what drove Jack Perry to do this. And you have a legitimate reason based off of things that happened on your TV show to explain why this character did this thing, which is just basic storytelling. Jack Perry can reveal himself, come out the next Dynamite and be like, I took your advice, MJF. You are absolutely right. Look what it's done to you. After he's cost MJF the title and Samoa Joe or Hanger in a triple threat leaves with it. And I think MJ, like, especially if you're not going to get the Adam Cole payoff for a while, if he's still going to be out, that's a nice little interesting thing to do with MJF while you're getting all that sorted out and also doing the contract thing if they're still playing up with that.
Because Jamie, because the point, you know, is if you don't get the belt off of him now, you're basically lather, rinse, and repeating with MJF every pay-per-view cycle, right?
Pretty much. I think the time is now.
So triple threat. Are we all on board with that? Do we think it's going to happen?
Probably.
I like the idea of it being Jack Perry, especially because, like you pointed out, the car thing. If that was an intentional choice, great storytelling. Love it. I do think with the devil thing, we do need to get a reveal at World's End.
It's time. Yeah, we can't have it going to 24, dude. We got to get this over with.
It's running the risk of going a little too long. I do like the idea, as Jamie mentioned, one of those masked men really looked like Wardlow.
Really looked like Wardlow.
I don't know how he glossed over it because it's always the highlight of the week. But Wardlow did have a promo package.
I tried to erase it from my memory.
What I would really like to see, and I don't think they will do this, but just lean into Wardlow being kind of a dork. Make it to where Wardlow is one of the Devil's men and everyone else is like nudging him backstage. Like, dude, shut the hell up in those promos. You're basically telling everyone you're part of our little group. We're supposed to be anonymous right now. Like, make Wardlow that guy.
Well, all those bodies make sense. You got Kingdom and Roddy. Why are they doing this? Because MJF stole their best friend, right? Wardlow, obvious, right? Jack Perry, that's a good side swerve. I do like that.
That is the one part about Jack Perry being the devil that you've got to like be smart about explaining is why are Roddy and the Kingdom involved? Wardlow I get because Wardlow seems like you could just talk him into doing just about anything. And he's got his hatred of MJF. Like I'm sure if someone backstage said, "Hey, I got this plan. We're gonna put these masks on and make his life living hell," he'd be like, oh, "Okay, let's do that." Wardlow's been a lackey almost his entire AEW run. It makes sense. The Kingdom and Roddy, you got to tie that in a little bit better.
I think it's easy to tie. I mean, it's pretty, but it's the simplest straight lines is straightest place between 2 points. You know, they don't like MJF because he stole their best friend. They're trying to convince everybody he's the devil.
I think the best.
Right?
I think the best thing that they could possibly do in order to build the Jack Perry thing is they have a brawl next week. Like something happens on AEW where you have Joe, you have all these guys starting to beat up on these masked men. They get one of them and they pull off their mask. So then everybody at least knows one of the people that's involved.
It's got to be Wardlow if you're going to do that.
Exactly. That's the person I was thinking because he's the easiest one and he's the easiest for everybody to spot.
Right.
You pull that off and then
the lowest hanging fruit. You know, yeah, of course it's Wardlow. Right.
Yeah. Then you do like basically have Joe interrogate him. And he's like, you have no idea. You have no idea who this guy is. And like, then you have Wardlow do some semi-talking, you know. It's like, you have no idea what this guy could do. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, he's smarter than all of us, you know. Like, yeah. Like, build it up. I think that would be the smartest thing. And then the week after, like, you know, he's trying to go after him. Wardlow, like, and then you have an awkward exchange with like Wardlow in the back, and like the Kingdom have a match or something. They look at him all sorts of weird because, like, what did you say? But they can't really say it on TV, you know. But like, give him that kind of look, dude. Yeah, let's go.
Hey, I love the idea of Joe interrogating somebody because that sounds legitimately terrifying and would make for great TV. But I think it would be even better, and by better, I just mean funnier to me personally, is if they did that whole setup where they unmasked somebody against Wardlow, and then the devil pops up on the screen with his little text and just writes, "Yeah, Wardlow's not actually with us. He bought his own mask and just kept showing up."
Even better. You guys let us know.
Wardlow.
You like the Jack Perry theory? Are you on board with the lazy fix they do of having MJF as the devil? Are you still on board with Adam Cole, even though we think that they've got to unmask the devil by World's End? They've got to. They have to.
Yeah. You don't need to bleed this over to the new year.
God, please no. So please let us know. Give us a comment down below. Hit us up on Twitter at Total Spotfest. Let us know your thoughts. Yeah, tonight was just, like I said, mostly, I'm going to say all, even though we had the Golden Jet thing or the Winnipeg Jet thing, whatever it was, right?
Whoops.
Probably had to say that because half the people are like, I don't get why they're called the Jets. Why are these two guys calling themselves Jets? Because they probably don't watch hockey, right? You know? Anyway.
You know who doesn't watch hockey? Your guys' former coach anymore.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, our general manager probably doesn't watch hockey. Don't get me started on that. Yeah, because I'm not going to give you a team and then I'm going to fire you halfway through the season because you have no defense, no star, and I need you to do better, even though you're 1 point out of the playoffs right now. So anyway, I don't know.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Went on a hockey tangent.
Oh my God,
that's people, man.
That's the easiest way to do it. All right, so great episode. I thought it was a fantastic episode. Yeah. So next week we got the last round of league play, if you want to call it that, for the Continental title.
I like calling it league play. That's fun.
They're calling them Gold League, Blue League, you know. Unfortunately, after that, we're going to get away from probably such a stacked card every week, Austin. I know that's going to make you a little bit sad inside.
They don't have to. They certainly don't have to. They have found their stride, and I hope they just keep on striding.
Well, we'll see. We're a little over 2.5 weeks out now from pay-per-view World's End. So cards starting to come together. We'll get more next couple of weeks. We'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Come join us as we march towards World's End. If your first time here, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. If you're listening to us, thank you for listening. We do appreciate you guys giving us some of your time. We will see you guys next week. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down Total Spotfest, I got 6 words for you.
4 is the right answer.
Real glass. Cry me a river.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Later.